So my name is Anne Marie Timothy. Education-wise, I am the holder of a master's degree in counseling psychology from the Washington Adventist University, and also a degree in clinical mental health counseling from Washington Adventist University. Also a special education. I've been a special education teacher for over 15 years of my 20 plus teaching career. And I am certified in that area. So I have a master's in special education teaching and with an emphasis on special education. Currently, I still work with students at an elementary school. So I continue to work with children. In 2014, I went back to school and earned my master's degree in counseling psychology because, I wanted to be a part of that community, and I wasn't sure exactly what I would have liked to do with my counseling degree. But I knew as a teacher, it helped me with my students, as I dealt with my students, and I dealt with parents every day, students and parents. And when we came back off of the pandemic in 2022, and we went back out to school, I saw a great need for counseling and for mental health. We encountered parents that clearly had visible mental health issues. A lot of the time, I'm not able to diagnose, but I could just talk about from what I saw. And we saw, issues like that. I teach at a Title I school. So I did see the need for support for parents, food insecurity, issues with mental health, as I said, and also issues with mental health for students in terms of the fear that COVID brought along with it, working with students during the pandemic. So at that point in time, I decided that I would return to the university and complete my mental health clinical studies and go through with the internship, which is what I did at the start of 2020, at the end of 2022. My happy place is Ocean City. So when I go to Ocean City, as soon as I hit the Beltway, a smile comes over me, my full face. I smile from then until I leave Ocean City. I enjoy the drive to Ocean City. I think about Ocean City before I even get there, what it's going to be like, where I'm going to go, even though I've been there many times before. And I think that makes me happy. Like a couple weeks before my trip, then I go and I enjoy Ocean City. And when I'm leaving Ocean City, I reflect on my time at Ocean City. And so it makes me happy. I'm serious. I'm talking about it, and I'm just happy that's my happy place. Well, for me, it starts with what we call motivational interviewing, where I support the client in, just letting them understand that they have the ability to change. And my task is really that of like what you call a reflective listener, where I listen to them. I get this, what we call unconditional positive regard. I earn their trust, and we work through their issues because I believe that everyone has that opportunity to change. Then there's dialectical behavior therapy, which speaks a lot about the wise mind, mindfulness, people being able to self-soothe. So it's really about understanding your feelings, how you're thinking, and deciding how you want to work with that. And I think, some people, for them, their thoughts about certain things, it doesn't necessarily go away, your thoughts and feelings, but, helping people to learn to manage when you have these negative thoughts and feelings, I think is what is very important. And then there's a bit of, cognitive behavior therapy in there. We think it, we feel it, we do it, and you teach people how they can deal with those negative thoughts. And I think I shine the most in terms of mental health, in terms of dealing with the persons who are depression, anxiety, self-esteem issues, some relationship issues. I've had some worked with that, with clients with that. I've also worked with children as young as 8 years old, 8 years to like 13 years. I've worked with young adults. These are people who are either in college or they're working, they finished college and they're working and they need some guidance. I've worked a bit with adults. I've done some work with adults with depression and that sort of thing. As I was saying, I believe that the client themselves, they have the key to change with some guidance, but from us. So it's not me being like as what they call a sage on the stage, but a guide on the side, which is something I practice in education all my most of my years, so that I believe that the client is able to, and my my job is to help that client see their potential and see what they're able to do and see how they're able to overcome. I know there are clients who, in fact, a person who's depressed, who has anxiety, would at some point need maybe medication. And we also talk about that if this isn't working, maybe this is what you need. And I know I do my referrals for the psychiatric, for them to see the psychiatric nurse or the practitioner, and then they come back to me, and then we continue, with where we left off. I think for me, it's clients saying to me, I never thought about that. As an educator in the classroom, you would, whether you're explaining to the kids or whether they're working on it, you'll hear a kid say, oh, you know what that means? That means, oh, and depending on how long they keep that, oh, for a fact that they just got it. And I think that brings me joy with counseling when I hear people say, yeah, and then they get quiet and they say, oh, I never thought about that. That makes sense. Or we have a session 2, 3 weeks after, and they talk about what I shared with them 3 weeks ago. Remember you told me so and so, and this is what I did, and they actually remember that. So I'm like, yeah, I'm doing, I'm doing something. I'm helping people, because for me, that's really what it's about, being able to help people. It would be based on how the client would respond to me, and mind you that it can either be a positive response, I agree with you, or a negative response, I don't agree with you. Because for some people it takes a while for them to actually acknowledge where they need help or how they need to deal with a particular relationship. And so for me, it's them accepting or they're not accepting, and they being actually free to say how they feel. This is how I feel. I agree with you. I don't agree with you. This is why. And then we work through that, and that lets me know that something is working. When people grow and when they overcome certain hurdles, I mean, that's like them pouring into me and making me feel like what I've done is worthwhile. But as a clinician, I think we ourselves need to have um, a person that we can also talk with. So hopefully during this process, I believe I will have a supervisor, or I would seek counseling myself, um, which I have done, so that there's no burnout, and I will schedule accordingly so that I have that time to spend with family and do all those beautiful things that I talked about. And for me, beautiful things doesn't have to be just driving all the way to Ocean City, but it could be simple afternoons that you take and you refuel yourself. And as I said, I practice my own mindfulness. What sets me apart? Interesting. I think being in education for so long, I feel like as an educator, I've always been kind of like a pseudo psychologist in a sense, before I got my formal training. Um, so I think for me, that would probably be, basically it. I think all clinicians have their specialty, their special way of doing things. Someone might be looking at this video now and decide, oh no, I don't want that type of person. because she's gonna be like a book person because she's this educator, and they may not want to deal with me, which is fine, but I think that might be my strongest suit, that I've spent time dealing with adults, parents, children, for most of my career. And then for me, there's a book. It's a daily devotional. I've had it for years. It's called Grace for the Moments. Something Maxwell. I forget the author's name. And it just has these short daily devotions. It's not a very large book. And that's something I've cherished over the years. I've written several notes in there. I read it several times. So that's important to me, because each day of the year you get these reminders about the love of God, about how you treat other people and all that. So that has become an important book to me too over the years. I would want clients to know that I'm an open person. I'm genuine. I really am interested in helping every client, but as much as I'm able to. And would want to start with just being able to listen to the client and understand where they're coming from, just that unconditional positive positivity that we talk about, and offer them that safe space, to share how they feel, and go alongside them and work with them, to deal with whatever issues they may have. Someone if you're considering therapy, you probably need to be in therapy, and you need to be mindful. I'll tell that person, you need to be mindful that you don't have to be in therapy for this 3-month therapy, 6 months, 9 months. But if you feel the need to be in therapy, and then you should be in therapy, and talk with someone and be able to get the help that you need, or the encouragement, whatever it is that you need. But if you think you need therapy, then you need therapy. You need to have that person to talk with.